Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.
What's up, Canuck fans? Welcome to the Nucks Report, a proud presentation of DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast, covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. This right here is your number one stop for all things Canucks, trade rumors, roster moves, game previews, you name it. We got it all right here on the Nucks Report. It is Friday, December 19th, 2025. A week has passed since the Quinn Hughes trade. I know it's still being talked about, even a week later. That's what happens when you trade a player the caliber of Quinn Hughes. Now, to start off this week's Nucks Report, we're going to be revisiting the Kiefer Sherwood trade rumors. Now, with the Hughes trade, I have seen some people suggesting that the Canucks not trade Sherwood now that they have dealt Hughes away, while others have been saying Sherwood is likely the next to go. So let's go ahead and bring up this article that talks about those trade talks and rumors being revisited, and it begs the question, has the price for Sherwood gone up, or is it more even keel, or has it maybe even gone down? So let's go ahead and take a look at this snippet from this article. This snippet is from Canucks Army's Tyson Cole, and it reads as follows. While fans are still mourning the Quinn Hughes trade, the Vancouver Canucks have rattled off back-to-back wins with the new guys. However, there is still more work to do regarding the direction the team is taking. The most likely player to be moved next is Kiefer Sherwood. Sherwood has 13 goals and 4 assists for 17 points through 33 games, averaging 17 minutes and 33 seconds per game. Those numbers are all on pace to break his previous career highs. Not only that, but he's second in the league in hits with 146 and is averaging over 2 minutes of penalty kill time per game. And he comes at an extremely affordable $1.5 million cap hit. He has slowed down offensively of late with just 1 goal and 4 points in his last 13, but that isn't scaring teams away, according to Donnie and Dolly's Rick Dollywall. And he goes on to say, despite Sherwood scoring 1 goal in 13 games, a bunch of teams are still in on him, said Dollywall. Canucks should move this guy sooner than later, start a clean slate. They're not signing him. Canucks don't want to go past $3 to $3.5 million for Sherwood. He's likely going to want, obviously more than that. He's going to want closer to like $4, maybe $5 million. He's going to get more on July 1st. There's a bunch of teams on him because his salary is low, $1.5 million. Canucks are still trying to get a first rounder for him. Let's move on to the next part. Once Canucks sent out the memo to the rest of the league sharing that they had made their veterans available for trade. However, obviously, Canucks Army covered a few potential suitors. However, situations, whether due to injuries, team performance, or other factors, have changed, which could bring in more suitors or eliminate some. And with Dollywall mentioning there are a bunch of teams still in on Sherwood, we thought to update the list. So this is a updated list. We've separated 11 teams into 3 different types of teams: real suitors but with no 2026 first-round pick, and unlikely but other options for Sherwood services. Let's take a look at the real suitors. First up, we have the Boston Bruins. The Bruins have reportedly already checked in on Sherwood in late November. Since then, the Bruins have dealt with some injuries, most notably Victor Arvidsson is out with a lower body injury. The Bruins are currently icing Casey Mittelstadt, Marat Kushnetdinov. I probably butchered that and mispronounced it. My apologies. Alexander Steves and Michael Isamon as our middle six wingers. Sherwood would be an upgrade on most, if not all, of those options. Boston has 2 2026 first-round picks, their own, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Next up, we have the New York Islanders, today's opponent for the Vancouver Canucks. After picking first overall in June, the Islanders have new life in their team and are surprisingly second in the Metropolitan Division. At least as at the time of this article, they are now actually third. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later in our third topic. First-year general manager Matthew Darche could reward his players for a strong start and acquire a piece as a vote of confidence in his club. There's a spot in the lineup for Sherwood as Kyle Palmieri tore his ACL and is out 6 to 8 months. New York has Max Sasson, 10 points in 22 games, and Simon Holmstrom, 13 points in 33 games in their top 9, where Sherwood could fill in. The Islanders have 2 2026 first-round picks, their own, and the Colorado Avalanches. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers find themselves in the same situation as the Islanders. Philadelphia is having a surprisingly good start to its season and is without one of its top 6 wingers, Tyson Foerster, who is rumored to be done for the rest of the season. That opens up a spot for Sherwood in the middle 6, as the Flyers have Carl Grundstrom on the wing in their middle 6. Philadelphia has been noted by Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman as a team to keep an eye on regarding Canucks players with ties to head coach Rick Tocchet. The Flyers have their own 2026 first-round pick. Next up, we have the Utah Mammoth. Mammoth are another team on the rise who have an aggressive owner who's ready to make the playoffs. Viewed as a heavy physical team with Lawson Krause, Jack McBain, and Liam O'Brien, the Mammoth surprisingly rank in the bottom half of the NHL in hits per 60. Logan Cooley is out long-term, yet they are still on the bubble for the final wildcard spot and could look to bolster their depth. The Mammoth have their own 2026 first-round pick, but have 3 seconds and 2/3 to make moving off their first a little more digestible. Next up, we have the Washington Capitals. The Capitals find themselves back in the playoff picture again with only so many years left of the Alex Ovechkin era. They will be looking to add. We know they were talking to the Canucks about Hughes, so they were already sniffing around the trade market. Washington has Ryan Leonard out right now, but even before his injury, former Canuck Anthony Beauvillier was skating on the top line with Ovechkin and Dylan Strome. Despite the deployment, Beauvillier has just 11 points in 33 games, and Sherwood would be an upgrade on that top line or anywhere they see fit in the lineup. The Capitals have their own 2026 first-round pick. Next up, we have the Suitors, but they don't have their 2026 first-round pick. First up, we have the Dallas Stars. The Stars lost significant depth to their lineup this past offseason due to cap-related reasons. They shipped off Mason Marchment, who ranked in the top 3 in hits by a Stars forward last season, and are now without Tyler Seguin for the remainder of the season. They're undoubtedly stacked in the top 6, but are icing Justin Hirokawian, Oscar Bach, and Colin Blackwell on the wings in the bottom 6. Their depth is hurting, which isn't great for a championship contending team like the Stars. The problem, the Stars are without their 2026 and 2028 first-round picks, but have their 2026 second and third-round picks, to which they could package with a prospect like Cameron Schmidt, who also happens to be with the Vancouver Giants. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. This has been one team I've been keeping an eye on as a potential Sherwood fit. Sherwood seems like a Lightning style, doesn't he? Think back to when they won back-to-back Stanley Cups. They were deep and had one of the most intimidating third lines consisting of Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman, and Yanni Gourde. Sherwood fits that prototype of a player to pair that worked so well with Gourde on the third line. Currently, the Lightning are icing Zemgus Girgensson and Pontus Holmberg on their third line with Gourde. Tampa Bay doesn't have its 2026 or 2027 first-round pick, which makes me wonder about a player like Connor Geekie. The Lightning have dealt with numerous injuries this season, but Geekie has remained in the AHL since he was sent down on October 20th, despite being over a point per game, 23 points in 22 games. A first-round pick would be ideal in a Sherwood return, but a 6'4", 21-year-old former first-round pick would be an attractive alternative. I would most certainly be interested in that. Let's take a look at unlikely but some other options. First up, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, who, like the Capitals, the Hurricanes have also been reportedly sniffing around the trade market. However, the Hurricanes are likely to swing bigger for a higher-end option. Plus, Carolina has Will Carrier and Jordan Martinook on their third line right now, who brings a lot of the physical side of Sherwood's game. The Hurricanes have their 2026 first-round pick, but their only other picks are 2 6th. They would likely save that first in a package with some prospects for a larger upgrade, but Carolina always seems to be involved in moves, so it felt right to include them. Next up, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are in a difficult spot. They are deep on the wing and have a heavy hitter already in Matthew Olivier. However, it's been reported that the Blue Jackets, along with the following team, have checked in on the Canucks winger already. Sherwood is a Columbus, Ohio native, so playing for his hometown might be something that interests him enough to extend if traded. Currently, the Blue Jackets have Igor Chinnikov, who has been searching for a new home in their top 6, and former first-round pick Kent Johnston on the fourth line. Now, Sherwood for Johnson wouldn't happen. Connor Garland would probably be the player going back the other way if they were to pry Johnson out of Columbus. However, Johnson's demotion is noteworthy, would not be opposed to the Canucks adding to a Sherwood package to bring the 23-year-old Port Moody native home to British Columbia. The Blue Jackets have their own 2026 first-round pick, but are second last in the Eastern Conference, so they likely don't want to part with that pick at this time. But if things turn around, they could be a fit. Next up, we have the Montreal Canadiens. As mentioned, the Canadiens have already checked in with the Canucks on Sherwood. Montreal have significant injuries to its forward group, with Patrick Laine, Alex Newhook, and Kirby Dach all out of the lineup. However, if the Canadiens are to make a move, they're likely in search of a center upgrade rather than a winger. Montreal owns its own 2026 first-round pick and also a pair of second-round picks. Lastly, we have the New Jersey Devils. The Devils might be the most injured team in the league. Jack Hughes, Evgeny Dadanov, Timo Meier, Arsenij Gricic, and Zach McEwen are all missing from the Devils forward group. With the injuries, the Devils are icing Andre Palat, Cody Glass, Connor Brown, Paul Cotter, Juho Lammikko, Stefan Nason, and Xavier Parent, Luke Glendeling, Angus Cruikshank as their second, third, and fourth lines. Safe to say they need help everywhere, but have struggled to get a deal done due to their cap difficulties. Sherwood's $1.5 million cap would require minimal money movement to make it work, but like Montreal, they are probably more in the market for a centerman than a winger. According to The Athletic's Michael Russo, the Canucks' original ask for Sherwood was a good young prospect. However, as of December 8th, the price increased to a first-round pick and a good roster player. But who's paying that price? Sherwood would be categorized as a good roster player who's swapping good roster players and trading a first-round pick on top. Sure, $1.5 million price tag is nice, but it's only for the rest of the season. Then he's going to get a substantial raise. This author's preference would be that the Canucks just take a first-round pick. As it is, the Canucks already can't get Aatu Räty, who shares the team lead for 5-on-5 points this season, in the lineup. And that's without Elias Pettersson and Teddy Bluger, who should be returning to the lineup soon. Where's the room for another forward on this team? Now, that was before the Hughes trade and the addition of Marco Rossi and Liam Ogren to the forward group, so maybe the asking price has changed. Regardless, turning a $1.5 million free agent signing into a first-round pick would be a great work for this management group. It's likely going to be a late first-round pick, as will be the Wilds. If so, the team want to package them together and move up in the draft for a better prospect. They would have the assets in their arsenal to do so. But even if not, When's the last time the Canucks picked 3 times in the first round? Never. It would be an encouraging kickstart to the upcoming rebuild. So that is the Kiefer Sherwood trade rumors and trade talks. Obviously, he's still likely to be traded. That hasn't changed. But perhaps the price tag may have changed due to the Quinn Hughes trade. Let's move on to our next topic, which is going to be about some roster moves made by the Canucks recently. One of them, of course, being last week, and that was Lukas Reichel being put on waivers. And then he actually cleared waivers before being assigned to the Abbotsford Canucks. Perhaps he can develop a little more and find his game, although the Canucks have given Reichel's agent permission to seek a trade. So who knows if we will ever see Lukas Reichel up with the big club again. I kind of hope we do, because I still kind of have a bit of a soft spot for him. He wasn't the only one who was put on waivers, though, as Arshdeep Bains was also placed on waivers. And actually, Bains also, much like Reichel, cleared waivers. So as you can see from this tweet from Rick Dollywall, Arshdeep Bains is on waivers as of December 16th, 2025, so a few days ago. And he was able to clear waivers. So Bains is also now down with Abby, which I think is a good thing, as Bains can get some playing time. Not to mention he can help out a struggling Abbotsford Canucks team and easily slot onto their first line. Our last transaction or move that the Canucks made this week was actually a re-signing or an extension. And that was none other than Max Sasson, who signed a 2-year extension with the Vancouver Canucks at a $1 million cap hit. So Sasson getting a nice old raise and a nice old raise. And I feel as though he's really, actually, to start off, hats off to Sasson. He's earned this, and I feel as though he's really become a great young player for the Canucks. I've always been a big fan of Sasson ever since I was covering the Abbotsford Canucks' Calder Cup run. I really kind of gravitated towards him and was watching him a lot. He kept on getting my focus. I kept on always seeing him, and I just absolutely love his speed. But I do think he would be a lot better on the wing as opposed to a center, but that's just me. Now, before we get into the third and final topic of this video, I'm going to take a second to thank the sponsors of this Nucks Report. First, I'm going to thank my primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, people, serious question time. Did you know that driving high is considered driving under the influence? That's right. Driving under the influence of marijuana is against the law in every state. That means even in states where marijuana is legal. That means driving high could get you a DUI. And if you think law enforcement officers can't tell when you're driving high, well, you're wrong. If you're high, they can tell. Your friends can tell. Your coworkers can tell. Even your parents can tell. Everyone can tell. So what makes you think that law enforcement officers don't know when you're driving high? You'd be wrong. They can tell too. Driving under the influence of marijuana can slow your response time and change how you perceive time and speed. So even if you think you're fine to drive when you're high, you're not. Because the bottom line is, if you feel different, you drive different, and driving high is driving under the influence. So remember, drive high, get a DUI. Paid for by NHTSA.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, well, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's just for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager. Tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright of the NHL 2025, all rights reserved. All right. I'd also like to thank my secondary sponsor, none other than Gassy Jack Art, maker of that fine artwork you see behind my shoulder that you always see whenever you watch my videos. And you guys can check them out yourselves at GassyJackArt.com. Definitely a great time of the year to get some Gassy Jack Art prints. So go ahead, once again, check them out. That is GassyJackArt.com. All right. Now, let's get into our third and final topic. We're going to do a little preview of today's game between the Canucks and the New York Islanders. And the Canucks are, of course, looking to make it a clean sweep across the New Jersey/New York leg of their road trip, having already beaten both the Devils and the New York Rangers. On that note, they blanked the Rangers in their last game. Thatcher Demko getting the shutout. And despite those two wins, though, the Vancouver Canucks are still last in the league. So all you tankers out there can breathe a sigh of relief. This little 2-game winning streak the Canucks are on has no effect on whether or not they move up in the standings. Speaking of the standings, the Islanders are currently third in the Metropolitan Division. I know earlier we mentioned they were second, but they're actually third. I actually looked it up. And the Islanders are 19-12-3. So as was said earlier, the Islanders are actually a pretty darn good team this year. We mentioned how EP40, or actually we didn't mention, I'm going to mention it right now. EP40 won't be in the lineup. He will miss his 6th straight game, which is unfortunate, and it's really concerning because it's been, like I said, 6 games now, and we still don't even know what's wrong with PD. PD is not the only one who's going to be injured. At least I'm not talking about, Canucks. Bo Horvat, who suffered an injury, is expected to be out a few weeks. He won't be in the lineup either. Of course, we will be having our post-game show here tonight or later today. And as was announced earlier in the week, we're going to be joined by the Daily Hive's Trevor Beggs, who also is the co-host of the Locked On Canucks podcast, along with Kyle Bowen. That's going to be a lot of fun. Sorry. Where'd you go? There we go. Yeah. We're going to have Trevor Beggs as a special guest. First time on a post-game show. And I'm very much looking forward to chatting with Trevor and having a good conversation. Talking about the game, talking about the Quinn Hughes trade. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of that. And also, we'll talk about the future of the Canucks and just Canucks in general this season, and we'll also get to know Trevor a little bit more as well. Now, let's take a look at the lines for the Canucks going into this game. Let me just bring it up. Sorry. Where'd it go? There we go. Oh, crud. I can barely read that. Give me one quick sec. There we go. Now, according to the Athletics' Thomas Drance, on the scene at the Islanders' practice complex in East Meadow, New York, the Canucks didn't conduct line rushes during their on-ice session, but based on drills, it appears the Canucks will move a couple of their forwards around. Connor Garland, currently the team scoring leader among healthy bodies, skated with Marco Rossi and Brock Besser, while Max Sasson was between Evander Kane and Kiefer Sherwood. Jake DeBrusk dropped to a line with David Kampf and Niels Höglander, while Drew O'Connor remained in the middle between Liam Ogren and Linus Karlsson. It's been a struggle in the circle for O'Connor since shifting to center last week. He has won just 6 of 19 faceoffs, which is a 6% in the past 3 games. And also Aatu Ratu is the odd man out, so he will once again be a healthy scratch, which I cannot believe that Adam Foote is doing this for a 3rd straight game where Aatu Ratu is not in the lineup. He's picking Drew O'Connor over Aatu Ratu, and especially after what we just told you about O'Connor and winning faceoffs, he sucks. And Aatu Ratu is our best faceoff guy, and it just grinds my gears to see this. I'm not going to get into too much about it because I'm actually going to do a separate video talking about that whole topic, and I do actually have some theories as to why maybe Aatu Ratu has not been in the lineup for the last 3 games, because it makes absolutely no freaking sense whatsoever. Now, Elias Pettersson participated in practice, but seems likely to miss a 6th game with an undisclosed upper body injury, as we mentioned. Pettersson last played against the Utah Mammoth on December 5th. The following night, he took the ice with his teammates for a pregame warm-up, but determined he was unable to play against the Minnesota Wild and has been out of the lineup ever since. He was placed on injured reserve earlier this week and remains there for the time being. The other extra forward that we just mentioned at practice was Aatu Ratu, who has been a healthy scratch this past 2 games, despite leading the Canucks in scoring since December 1st. It looks like Ratu will sit out once again against his former team on Friday night. On defense, the Canucks showed the same pairings they've used since last week's Quinn Hughes trade. Marcus Pettersson skated with Filip Hronek. Zeev Bouillon, or Booyah, was paired with Tyler Myers, while Elias Pettersson, DPD, was paired with Tom Wielander, formed the 3rd duo. P.O. Joseph was the team's lone extra blue liner at practice. The Canucks have back-to-back games this weekend against the Islanders on Friday and the Boston Bruins on Saturday. According to Foote, Demko is slated to make his 4th consecutive start on Friday, and Kevin Lankinen will tend the crease on Saturday. The Canucks are looking to match their season high for consecutive victories. Let me just increase this there. I can read it. After starting their road trip with wins over New Jersey and the Rangers, they also won 3 in a row from October 16th to 19th against the Dallas Stars, Chicago Blackhawks, and the Washington Capitals. So hopefully the Vancouver Canucks can finish this leg of the road trip, through the, New Jersey and the New York area. Hopefully they can go into Saturday against the Bruins, having won their last.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
If you're an HVAC technician and a call comes in, Grainger knows that you need a partner that helps you find the right product, fast and hassle-free. And you know that when the first problem of the day is a clanking blower motor, there's no need to break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product details, you're confident you'll soon have everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Games and being 3-0 on this road trip. I know you tankers don't want to hear that, but I'd be okay with a win against the Islanders here tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new guys play some more. Got, Marco Rossi, Booyah, as well as Liam Ogren. Should be a good game for the Canucks. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see that Bo Horvat not being in the lineup for the Islanders. But this will be the first time that the Canucks face the Islanders, I believe. And this is our first meeting with Matthew Schaefer. So it's going to be interesting to see Matthew Schaefer. Obviously, I'm very much looking forward to watching Schaefer actually play a game and just to see, not necessarily in person, but through the, TV, just how good that this kid really is. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And those are the lines for the Vancouver Canucks. As I mentioned, we'll be talking about this whole Atu Ratu, Drew O'Connor debacle in a separate video because that deserves a video on its own. That is going to do it for this week's edition of the Nucks Report. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. And I'll catch you guys next week in a special Boxing Day edition of the Nucks Report. Until then, I wish you all a very Merry Nucks Christmas.
Hey, Campoli missed the puck. Ryan Johnson just gets it out. And you stuck the puck back in. Campoli trying to clear it. Burrow shoots, scores!
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.